So I know a lot of you guys already have a couple of investments here in Nigeria. You've bought land, you bought houses, you've got a couple of real estate investments. Now, what if there's different scenarios, different situations when you experience a dispute on that particular property, which is the property that you own legally, that you bought, or even the property that you inherited. Now, there's someone else challenging your rights or your ownership on that property, or even the property that you own or a property that you inherited, someone else is on that property, and you are now challenging that person's rights or that person's ownership of that property. That's basically a land dispute. Now, because of lack of experience, maybe the cost and the legal route that some of you are supposed to take, some of you eventually just abandon it. That, oh, I don't want to holler, let me just leave it that way. But in this episode, I've gone and bring my barrister down to the show, and we'll be looking at how to legally handle land disputes here in Nigeria. So you've got a property, and then there's a dispute on that property. It may not even be a dispute on you, maybe a dispute on the people that you bought from, or a dispute on the people that bought and sold the people that you bought from. So how to legally handle land disputes if you are experiencing one, or even how to protect yourself from land disputes for your future investments. So that's what we are going to be talking about today. So let me introduce you to my big barrister. Barrister Udo, it's nice to have you on the show.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, a couple of my contacts also have been discussing with Barrister Udo, because a couple of you guys have run to me for some legal matters, and I just said, don't worry, I have someone I'm going to share with you. Yeah, talk to him. So this is Barrister Udo, and finally his face is on the show too, and he will be educating a lot of us, even me too. I'll be educated today, because that's some of these things that you'll be talking about today that I don't know of. I did not go to a law school, so some of these things, some of those legal grammars, I don't know it. I'll just come gingerly, humbly to him that, oh, I saw so thing, please give me the interpretation of this thing. So it's also important that we have these guys come to the show, and we have these guys talk to you guys, because I know a lot of you guys have been investing since maybe when I was in primary school, or when I was in sales. Even some of you have been buying properties I was not even born then. But despite that, what you don't know it. So it's important that we expose you to some certain legal matters, legal securities, and how you can protect yourself from some of these legal loopholes. So Barrister Udo,
sir,
let's start with a land dispute itself.
Yes.
What are the situations or circumstances that can arrive to a land dispute?
Okay, thank you for having me, first of all. Land disputes generally tend to come up when there are disagreements.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
Between family members.
Okay.
Right? Now, in Nigeria, there are few families that don't have arguments.
Okay.
Few that don't have arguments. So there are vast families that they are ready
for
a norm arguments, as in, because the fathers tend to marry 3 or 4 wives.
Okay.
When that happens, you have different interests.
Okay.
Pertaining to the number of wives married.
Yeah.
So you now have, if there are 4 wives, you have 4 heads of families. You have 4 Olori Ebis that will tend to want to say, we have a right to this land,
particular property.
So that's why, at death of the man, it is always advised that he lives with a will. But many of these families, the father does not always like to pretend that I will die in another 4-5 years. He doesn't. He always feels I will live the perpetuity. Do you understand? So they don't want to write a will. Do you understand? That's what leads to that dispute. Now the wives have already given birth to these children, and the children are growing up. And the wives are telling the children that, see, your father has this properties here. Do you understand? So they tend to want to have claim yes in this thing. Now, what now happens when there's the families now, maybe in growing up, some people die along the way.
Okay.
Now, some other persons would like to this is where some people always use what's it called now, fetish means,
Okay.
to want to acquire other people's properties,
Okay.
especially when they've sold theirs.
Okay.
So, but it's advised now that many people don't like to write will,
Okay.
but it's advised that they do write this will, and that by that will, it secures the territories for such children.
Okay.
This is me saying that if they write this will, those properties have legal and binding authority vested on those persons,
Yeah.
that won't be disputed in court.
Okay.
Do you understand? Now, when that is done, at least those persons can now say, okay, I have this property to us. We can share it amongst ourselves.
Because there's a will backing.
There's a will backing this agreement and this arrangement from the father down.
Okay.
But in the instance where there is no will, this is where that land dispute always comes out. Land dispute comes out in that form. There's no will. This one is always arguing with this one. This one is always sharing this one with this one. It will surprise you to know that there has been even a disagreement in a legal household, in the household of Chief F.R.A. Williams. So he is even a lawyer, and his children too are lawyers, but they are fighting over his property. It will amaze you to understand why would that happen. I'm not certain if there was a will.
Okay.
Right? But that can tell you that it has
not about literacy or illiteracy education level.
It has not got it's more than that. It's more than that. So, but if in the issue of Mr. F.R.A. Williams there was a will,
okay,
or maybe he didn't shred his will.
Okay. Because
another thing about the will is that any slight damage to that paper, even if it is a tear or a squeeze of that paper, it renders that will invalid. Do you understand? It renders that will invalid. So it is advised that upon writing a will, it is registered at the High Court,
okay,
and then put in the bank.
Okay.
And when that is done, you know that you have secured your will.
Okay.
So that if anything happens to the health of the father in any unforeseen future, the will is in the bank, the will is registered in the High Court. Anybody can go there, okay, and peruse it,
okay,
and understand what, and it's usually the lawyer of the father that will do that.
Okay.
Then he can now come and read the will at the hearing of all the parties, all the members of the family within his household.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So that perfects the
will
side that nobody will come and say, oh, this is like
it was manipulated or something.
That can never arise.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Sir.
Now, it's good that we are even taking it one by one now.
Yes.
So we've talked about how a land dispute can arise now from family, in between families.
Yes.
Now let's now take it a step further, because we know that there are series of land disputes, particularly in Lagos, where it's even against a family and the government.
Yes.
Or an individual and the government, or a company and the government. You know, where the government have claimed to have acquired a particular property, and the family are saying, no, we are not allowing, we don't accept this acquisition because it's still our property. So, and is that also can also be regarded as a dispute on that particular property?
Okay, the truth about government is that government is a continuum.
Okay.
Right? Between the time, let me give an example now, between the time from Mr. Fashola's time to Mr. Ambode's time,
okay,
to Mr. Sonwolu's time.
Okay.
Now, there are 3 different tenures,
okay,
that have been run as a government,
okay,
but with 3 different individuals.
Definitely.
And a long span of time of over maybe 24 years.
Yes, that's true.
Right? Now, when the individual or the family or whoever acquires the land,
okay,
has registered the land at Alausa,
okay,
right, and he gets the consent of the governor,
okay,
on such land,
okay,
no further governor, even after that person that has issued that consent,
okay,
can come and dispute a land. So what I'm saying in essence is, when you acquire your land, you have to go ahead and secure the title by getting the governor's consent or the C of O.
Okay.
So the C of O is actually the first title that comes when you acquire that land.
Okay.
You get the C of O that will be in your name.
Okay.
You cannot have any dispute on that land.
Okay.
Till eternity.
Okay.
Do you understand? So when you secure that that C of O in your name, it shows that you have total ownership of that land.
Okay.
And the government cannot come on a future date to what? To dispute that land.
Okay. So now, let me quickly. Sorry for this. Because I don't want you to move too far. So that means for a family,
yes,
that have a particular property,
yes,
and now for whatever reason the government have acquired that particular property,
yes,
and they are now disputing the government on that particular property, they don't have a C of O, they don't have a governor's consent. Do they have a case or not? In Lagos, let's use Lagos as a case study.
If they don't have a C of O, right? Okay, let me first say, you have a C of O, you are entitled to compensation.
Yeah.
You don't have a C of O, you are not entitled to compensation.
Okay.
As simple as that.
Okay. Okay.
So the government can come wake up any morning, any day they like, and just say, okay, we want to do a road here, like they want to do the 4th Mainland Bridge. That stretch of that 4th Mainland Bridge, anybody that does not have C of O on that stretch is not entitled to compensation. So they will just clear it. The people that have C of O, they will give compensation. The people that don't have C of O, they will tend to relocate them to somewhere else.
Or they talk about fair market value and so on.
Yes.
Now, although I know lawyers always have these different ways of interpreting some legal matters and so on and so forth, but I've seen a couple of lawyers and in their videos, in their blog posts, and they make it specific that the government only have the right to acquire these properties if it's for a public use.
Yes.
But if the case or the scenario as which the government are acquiring that particular property is not something that benefits the public, then the family or the community have a case.
Yes, so that's an overriding rule, general rule, that if it's usually for public use, you want to do a local government school, or you want to do a hospital,
okay,
or you want to build a market,
okay,
something that will benefit the community,
okay,
right?
Okay,
the government can do that.
Okay.
But when and the individuals will be compensated with a C of O,
okay,
and will not be compensated without a C of O.
Okay.
Right? Now, when it is not public interest,
okay,
and the governor or the governor, head of government, wants to do something there,
okay,
it's not backed by law,
okay,
right? He can be sued,
okay,
in his personal capacity or as the governor.
Okay.
He can be sued in court.
Okay.
Now, the court can tend to take years or months or weeks
for that matter.
But you will know that your matter is in court.
Okay.
And you have a lawyer, family lawyer, that can pursue that matter for you headlong.
Okay.
Because you have a case. The law says overriding public interest. He's probably doing it because he wants to do maybe personal or family kind of arrangement for his family to benefit, or his friends to benefit.
Okay.
You have a case at hand. You have a case you can take to court and you can sue him.
Okay. So likely we are going to be having a different session on that one because it's a very, very complex matter,
yes,
particularly when it comes to government versus family.
Yes,
now let's look at another dispute. Now, it's not in between family now. We have individual A disputing with individual B.
Okay.
Because individual A is claiming that he bought the property. Individual B is also claiming that he bought the property. Okay. But now, depending on the situation, they might have bought from the same person or even bought from different parties. But both of them are providing an evidence that they paid for that land.
I'm not strange to this circumstance. I'm not strange to this circumstance because it usually happens in Lagos.
Okay.
It happens. This is not they told me. I have been there, I've seen it.
Okay.
Now, this emanates from families that have not agreed.
Okay.
So there's a dispute or something within that family or when the father shared the property, they gave some within the family.
And some people are not fine.
Yeah, some within the family.
Fine.
So this one has now sold this portion. This one, because he didn't get anything from the family, he now went there and sold it. Or it can be a honest this thing that, oh, the person was not in town when that sale was done, and when he came back, like one of my clients, I encountered such things. So when he came back, he now realized he had already sold it, but later realized that the family had sold his portion. This was his portion, given to him by the family. But the family head and the other members
have sold
it. So he was not in town when that was done. When he came back, because he is the first son of his own mother, he knows that this is his portion.
So he just
sold it innocently, not knowing that anybody had encroached on his property and sold it. The family has a right to actually sell their lands, but not
his own portion,
any other person's land. So when he came back, he was flabbergasted. He was shocked that how come this is my own property? Why are they selling? Why have they sold my land without my consent? And they've shared that money. So in that kind of scenario, there can be two buyers, right?
Yeah.
There can't be two buyers. And when that happens, what can we do in that situation? The first buyer, we are always telling people, do your documentation, get your governor's consent on that land. When you do your documentation, get your C of O on that land. When you do your C of O, you have title registered with the government. Now, when you don't do your C of O, you have such. You have such disagreement. Now, what we will advise clients to do when there's a disagreement and two people have bought the same land, is to go back to the family. Call for a family meeting. Let them agree within the family, the persons that sold to the first person and the person that sold to the second person. Let them agree on who rightfully owns that portion on the part of the family. And who should sell, because you cannot give what you don't have.
Yes.
You must first own it
before you can transfer.
So now there must have been one particular person amongst the family that didn't own it, and yet now sold it.